I was just thinking last night because I knew we were gonna have this discussion about like consciousness.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, I would love to be like more conscious in my life. In a sense, like, I've been trying to like, for example, when I like yesterday I was eating, what was I eating? Like a grape. And I was trying
Yeah.
to like savor the grape and like take
Love
my
that.
like meditate. But guess what? The desire, like what you're talking about, right? Like, oh wow, the,
Yeah.
the desire and the impatientness like takes over, and then it's like I chomp on it, right? Like I
Yeah.
patience skills like built into like take pleasures in the little things. It's just I want the result now, and I want the sweetness.
Yeah.
So it's like this thing consciousness and being and waking and it's um it's something strange. Do you experience it as like being awake, or what is consciousness for you? Like what does it mean to be conscious? Because we've heard like so many people,
Hmm.
like it's like the popular thing nowadays is talking about consciousness, or maybe not
Yeah.
us because now we're like into it. But
Yeah.
what does it
It's
mean for you? Like, what is your personal definition of consciousness?
it is almost a feeling of awakeness, and it's like, for me feels it feels like presence, like really potent presence and clarity on things, and you just start to see things. The more conscious I become, I see things differently, like other people's behaviors, my own behaviors. Again, why I'm doing these behaviors. Is it serving me? Is it not serving me? Oh, somebody else's actions might, I don't want to say hurt me, because I have to take responsibility for my own emotions and state of being, because we truly do control that. It's our perception on things and how we let it affect us. Um, and we can transmute those. Like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, something happened, and it wasn't even a big deal, but it really affected me. And I was like, oh, there's a feeling of like betrayal. And I was upset. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go meditate. So I did. And the first 20 minutes I cried through the meditation, like bawled my eyes out. My mascara was everywhere when I came out of the room. But the last 40 minutes of it was so blissful. And I was like, wow, okay, I just need to move through that, because that's my issue. It's nobody else's issue. Um, and I think often we like try to blame other people for how we feel. I'm not saying it doesn't affect us. Of course it affects us, but we can transmute that, and transition through those emotions and heal relationships, heal friendships, heal relationships to things we're doing as well. But yeah, I think for me, it's like that feeling of just being grounded, having clarity, doing things that are in line with my values, and feeling good doing them. Like in my body, feeling good. When I'm like at a lower consciousness or frequency, as they say, and I'm just like running around, I feel like a chicken with my head cut off. I have a really bad anxiety. I blame people for things all the time. And it just like doesn't feel good in my body. Like it doesn't, there's no joy. There could be pleasure in certain things, but there's no like joy and true fulfillment. But when I feel like I've raised my vibration or my level of consciousness, it's this feeling of like, even in the eye of the storm, when everything looks like it's going wrong, like right now with the world, there could be a lot of fear. But like when you look at it from when I am in this higher place, my highest self, so to speak, yeah, it's that feeling of I'm okay, everything's okay. I can have compassion for people. I can have compassion for the world. And ultimately, it's just like, I just feel like elevated. like flying high. Like when people talk about being on drugs and they're like, I'm high. Well, like it's like that feeling, but better because it's organic. So that's, yeah, I guess I don't have a true definition, but I have a body feeling associated with it.
So
What is go ahead.
basically you have like a visceral feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that sort of like connected to intuition, or how would you describe that? Is consciousness then intuition?
Yeah. Um, when I think they're connected. Like my gut feeling, my intuition's more, it's a different feeling. But sorry, can you repeat your question? I was just going into my body for a second, trying to feel it.
Yeah, no worries. You said that you don't really have a clear definition of consciousness, but that you feel it in your body, like it's something that you feel and it feels right. And I said,
Oh,
is it like intuition, and does consciousness could conscious is consciousness part of intuition, or is that in intuition? What do you think? What feels right
I
for
think intuition, yeah, it's more like
or are they
sometimes
separate?
it's like, yeah, I think they're intertwined, but I think they're different things. Like intuition for me is, now I'm going back, but a gut feeling almost, or like a feeling in my body that like I should follow this, that feels right, or versus like, or I shouldn't do this, that doesn't feel right. And I think like a consciousness is more like the clarity in it, like seeing, when you're at a party, and if you've ever been the sober one at a party where everyone else is hammered, it's like this clarity and like, whoa, whoa, I'm like at a different level than everybody else. Not good or bad, but just like a different level. It's almost like that, but not saying everyone's drunk. So maybe you go back into your job and you've raised your consciousness. It's like you see things differently and you can almost problem solve easier.
Yeah.
Like the saying, you can't solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that you use to create it,
Yeah.
but you can solve it from a higher level. So it's like, oh, I'm going to go talk to this specialist that specializes in such and such. Maybe you're injured and you're going to go to a physiotherapist. They have a higher level of consciousness about that than you do. Therefore, they can like give you clarity on it. Oh, you tore your ACL, or oh, this is what's wrong and this is what you can do. It's almost like that for yourself when you have an issue in your life. And the more you raise your consciousness, the easier it is going to be to solve it or to find solutions, which is why I think it's so important in business. And I realized this reading books like very recently in the last 5 months about super successful business people. They have a very high level of consciousness. They don't worry, they don't waste their energy focusing on things out of their control that they can't do things about, be on mundane problems that don't really matter. Mostly these problems are attached to our ego, so they don't waste their time and energy on that. They're at a different level. They're focusing on things that are going to move them forward with intent to where they want to go. So yeah.
I really like your analogy there about like consciousness. It's like, you're in a room like with in a room full of drunk people and you're the one
Yeah.
that was really like nice. That was like it gave me like a sense of visual of like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I really like that
And
description. You're
I
the
mean,
one
that's
like where you can see a little bit clearly, make the
that. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. That is, yeah, that's just what came to my mind. And